3,000 years ago, a king wrote a desperate letter begging for help. It was never sent. Archaeologists found it still waiting in the ruins because the city burned down around it. That city was Ugarit. Within 50 years, 5 civilizations died with it. This was not one kingdom falling. This was the end of the entire connected world. Historians call it the Bronze Age collapse, and it remains history's greatest murder mystery. To understand what died, you first have to see what the Bronze Age world really was. In 1982, divers off the Turkish coast found a shipwreck 3,000 years old. The Uluburun ship carried cargo from at least 7 different civilizations in a single hull. 10 tons of copper, a ton of tin, ebony, ivory, glass, and gold. Enough metal for 11 tons of bronze. Enough bronze for 5,000 swords. Bronze demanded a recipe, copper from Cyprus, tin from mines thousands of miles away. A third of that ship's tin came from what is now Uzbekistan in Central Asia. Think about that. A sword in Greece began its life in a mountain mine near Afghanistan. Every army, every palace, every economy ran on supply chains crossing the entire known world. Egypt, the Hittites, Mycenaean Greece, Babylon, Ugarit, all bound together by trade and treaties. Kings called each other brother. Their letters crossed the sea in ships like Uluburun. It was the first globalized world, and it worked for 300 years. But a system where everyone depends on everyone has a hidden property. It is spectacularly efficient, right up until the moment it is spectacularly fragile. Around 1200 BC, the stress tests began arriving. Tree rings from the region record rainfall declining steadily toward 1150. Not one bad year. Decades of drought, deepening year after year after year. Letters from Ugarit speak of famine before they ever speak of enemies. The king's letters beg for grain, describing hunger spreading through his land. Then the earth itself turned hostile, with earthquake damage found across the region in these decades. Hungry provinces revolted, frontier garrisons went unpaid, roads became dangerous, harvests failed again. Any one of these shocks alone, the Bronze Age world had survived before. But they were not arriving alone anymore. They were arriving together and compounding. And desperate people do what desperate people have always done. They move. On the horizon of every coastal kingdom, ships began to appear. The Egyptians called them the sea peoples, raiders and migrants from across the water. Pharaoh Ramesses III carved their attacks into his temple walls at Medinet Habu. His inscriptions describe coastal kingdoms falling before them, one shoreline at a time. In Anatolia, Hattusa, capital of the mighty Hittite Empire, burned and was abandoned forever. Its final royal inscription, carved in stone, was left unfinished. The carvers never came back. In Greece, the palaces of Mycenae, Pylos, and Tiryns went up in flames. Linear B, the writing of the Mycenaean world, vanished. Greece forgot how to write. In the Levant, Ugarit, Al-Alach, Imar, city after city destroyed by fire.
And in Ugarit's ruins, that letter, "The ships of the enemy have come, my cities are burned."
The king who wrote it was asking for help from a world that no longer existed. For a century, historians asked the obvious question: who were the sea peoples? It turns out to be the wrong question, and the answer barely matters. The sea peoples were not the disease. They were a symptom of a world already dying. Scholars agree raiders alone could never have brought down the entire eastern Mediterranean. The real killer was the network itself. Every kingdom depended on every other kingdom. Cut one trade route and bronze becomes impossible. No tin, no weapons, no army. No army, and the next city falls easier. More refugees, fewer harvests. Each collapse made the next collapse more likely. The dominoes were wired together. Historians call it systems collapse, a perfect storm where everything fails because everything is connected. The strength of the Bronze Age world was the exact shape of its death. Egypt fought off the sea peoples and survived, but crippled, never a superpower again. Assyria endured in reduced form. Everyone else simply ceased to exist. Greece fell into a dark age lasting centuries. Populations collapsed, villages replaced cities. For generations, no Greek could read the words their great-grandparents had written. And bronze itself lost its throne. Iron ore was local. It needed no fragile supply chain. The metal that replaced bronze was chosen partly because it could survive a disconnected world. The lesson is uncomfortable because our world is the Bronze Age world at planetary scale. Efficiency and fragility are the same property, viewed from opposite sides of a disaster. 5 civilizations, 50 years, no single villain, just a network that failed together. Next time, a single flower drove a nation to madness and invented the financial